Hi, students, and welcome to week 12 of ESL 2B. Since this is the last week of the session, we will be doing a session review. So in this video, we will review the main concepts that we learned this session. You ready? Okay. We're going to look at some examples, and as always, I would like for you all to pay attention to the highlighted words and try to think about and remember what sort of information we are getting from these words. Okay. Our trip with the kids was great. By the end of the first day, we had played Capture the Flag, gone fishing, and met other families at the ice cream social. On Saturday, before tubing, the kids had participated in a treasure hunt. The next day, after we had all played softball, the kids auditioned for the talent show. Okay. So let's look at some of those examples and compare the sentences we see here. We have played Capture the Flag versus we had played Capture the Flag. What's the difference here? What's going on? We have played versus had played. Yes, exactly. Have played is what we call the present perfect. And we use this to talk about experiences that we have had at some point in the past. So it's a past action or event, but we don't really know exactly when it happened. It could have been 10 years ago, 6 months ago, or yesterday. But it happened at some point in my life. If I say we have played Capture the Flag. What about had played Capture the Flag? Yes. We call this the past perfect, and we use this to talk about something that had happened before another action happened. So here's the other action. By the end of the first day, we had played Capture the Flag. So here we have a timeline of now, the end of the first day, and we had played Capture the Flag. So we have two events in the past, and we use this form to tell us that the first past action, we had played Capture the Flag, finished before the second past action, which is the end of the first day. Again, this action started in the past before a second action, which is the end of the day, and it finished before the end of the day. Okay, let's keep going. Before the pandemic began, I had been going to the gym 4 to 5 days a week. Since we went into our first lockdown and all the gyms closed down, I've been getting exercise by running around my neighborhood and playing tennis with my kids. So what's going on here? We have had been going versus have been getting. Remember, I've is short for I have. So we have the have and had difference that's going on that we just saw, but now we have been happening. And then the verb with ing. So what's the difference between these two? Had been getting versus had been going. Let's see. I've been getting exercise by, or she's been getting exercise by, which is I have or she has, is what we call the present perfect continuous or progressive. And we form it like this with the subject and then have or has, been, and then the verb with ing. And remember, we only use has for he, she, and it. He has, she has, it has, but all of the other subject pronouns we use have. I have, we have, they have, and then been and the verb with ing. And what does this tell us? We use this to talk about actions that started in the past and they're continuous. They have continued until the present. So they have either just finished right now in the present or they are still continuing in the present. So if I say I've been getting my exercise by playing tennis with my kids, that means this event started in the past and still continues to the present. I'm still getting my exercise by playing tennis with the kids. Okay. What else? What about the other example? Before the pandemic began, I had been going to the gym 4 to 5 days a week. Or the negative version of it. Before the pandemic began, I hadn't been going to the gym 4 to 5 days a week. And remember, hadn't is had not. So same form, but just the negative version. So what's going on here? What's the difference between saying had been going versus have been going? Yes, exactly. We use this form, which is called the past perfect progressive. Doesn't matter too much, but we use this to talk about an activity or situation that was ongoing. It was continuous in the past. And the difference between this and the one we saw before by just saying had going or had gone would be that this action started in the past and continued until the second past action. So still continuing until another action began. And here we form it with the subject pronoun and then had been or had not been, hadn't been with the verb and then ing. And for questions, we just switch around the subject and had. For example, had I been going to the gym? Okay. Now let's see what we will be seeing in the future. Technology in the solar industry has really come a long way. I think pretty soon we'll be using solar energy to power everything. We'll be powering up our homes, cars, offices, and appliances via solar panels. So we have will be powering, will be using. And remember, this is short for we will. So will be using, will be powering. What's going on here? Is this action happening in the past, the present, the future? And when did it start? Let's think about that. How does this compare to the examples that we saw before this? Yes, for all of these, we are talking about a future event. We're saying, for example, I think pretty soon we'll be using solar energy to power everything. We'll be powering up our homes, cars, offices, and appliances via solar panels. All of these are ongoing actions. They're continuous because we still have that ing with the verb, but we have will be, which tells us something in the future. It has not started yet, but it tells us about an ongoing action in the future. And the form is like this, with the subject, will be, and then the verb with ing, or the action that we're talking about with ing. And again, we use this to talk about events, actions that will last for a duration of time, for a certain amount of time, a continuous action in the future though. That's the biggest difference between this example, what we're looking at now, versus the examples we saw in earlier slides. We're talking about the future here. Okay. And here's a little practice to get you started and a head start on review week. So here we have create a tour of your city. You can think about your hometown or where you currently live. And acting as a tour guide, so pretend that you are a tour guide, write a short itinerary for some friends who are visiting your city. So if some friends would be coming to visit your city or your hometown, what should they do? Where should they go? And should they avoid anything? Those are just a few questions to think about, but if you have some more to include, some more answers or tips to include, go ahead and do that. But I want you to at least include the time and place of arrival and departure. So they will be arriving on a Friday at maybe 2 o'clock, for example. things like that. Because remember, we're talking about a tour. We're creating a tour for them. We want to include any types of people, any things, or any people that they will, may, or might see. So remember those words that we looked at a couple weeks ago: will, may, and might. And also think about what they will be doing at each destination. So this is all about a future event. They have not visited this place before. So what do you think they will be doing at each place that you recommend them? Okay, go ahead and get on Padlet and try to give this a shot. And we'll be sure to go and give you some feedback and talk about it next week in review week. So here we have some more practice. Review any questions you had during this video in your teachable contents and take the quiz on Teachable. Until then, we'll see y'all.